Good morning, guys. Look, we are Chris and Angela Williams, and we are excited to be able to connect with you this morning. And here this morning, we're here to talk about values. Here's one thing I want you to think about: everything that you purchase and buy, one day it'll belong to somebody else, but everything that you are is yours forever. And I want you to think about that. Do you really know who you are? Because we identify who we are through the things that we value. I believe that our values are really these innate treasures that are living inside of us that are really purpose to drive us towards certain decision making goals. So, my question to you is if someone asks you right now, what are your values?
Hmm.
Would you know the answer? Would you know how to respond to that?
Yeah. I mean, values is a really strong topic because I like to think of values as the sounding board on how you live life. Values are the compass, right? And so this idea of living by values was introduced to us through a group of entrepreneurs. And honestly, before being introduced to that group of entrepreneurs, that was foreign language to me. I had no like what did that like I knew I had values. I knew that there were things that were important to me, but to live by those, right? And then first to identify them and say, okay, these are what they are and why they're important to me, but to actually start to live by those values, that was a brand new thing for me, and maybe it's brand new for you. So what we would like to do today is just kind of talk about the importance of those, why that compass, those compass of values are important, and actually kind of, we have a tool that we're going to share that will help you walk through that and start to live life by your values. And so if you look at war, if you look at the four pillars of war, those are actually our values:
Yeah.
faith, relationships, growth, and wellness. And so those are not all of our values, but those are some of the most important ones and the ones that we want to bring content to you guys related to. So yeah.
One thing I realize is that when you look at people, you look at people lives, you see people acquire things.
Mm,
They think that they value nice cars.
mm,
They think that they value expensive trips. They think that they value, um, nice clothes and all these things. They find a lot of satisfaction temporarily in shopping and doing these exhilarating things. But at the end of the day, they're just really trying to fill a void. They're just really trying to fill the emptiness
mm,
of not really living out their purpose. And that's one of our goals today, to help you identify what your really purpose is through your values so that you can begin to have satisfaction in things that are more permanent, things that are more eternal, things that you're going to do and that's going to last because it's going to change who you are. The statement that I opened with, from, I got that from Bob Proctor. And when I reflect on it, what you become, that will be with you forever. And this is about who are you becoming. When you ask yourself the question, this purchasing the things that I purchase, or the things that make me feel happy,
mm.
the things that make me feel good in the moment, who are they shaping me to be? When you're acquiring some of those things, do you feel like that it's growing and developing your character to the person that you truly want to be? So hopefully today we can really help you begin to unpack some layers and peel back some layers of really who you are, because I think the real work is being introspective in what we do. So often, Angela, we wake up, we do our thing in the morning, we go to work throughout the day,
Mm,
we lay down at night, and we just never take the time to think.
mm,
Ask yourself this question: when was the last time you just took the time to think? Like really just reflect on, man, my life, who I am, why am I here? What is important to me? So yeah, I'll let you flow into some things.
Another thing about values is that as a family, we have ours, right? The four
Hmm.
pillars are just shared, but you can have your own individual value, right? There may be something that you want to grow in, and that can become a value of yours. An area that maybe you're not as strong in, well, you can make that. And here's the thing about values: they ebb and flow, right? They can change. Like you have those things, like our faith, like that will never change. That's a strong value.
Yeah.
But I may value something right now in this season of life that in my single life may not have been of value to me, right? So they ebb, they flow, they change, they evolve as you evolve
Mm.
as a person. And so identifying those family values and what's important as a family unit, but identifying those individual values for yourself, like what's important to you. Maybe it's, I value, um, I don't know, timeliness, or I value respect, or I value, whatever those things are. Identifying those individual things by you, and you walking those out individually, while you're also able to walk out those family values as well.
Yeah. So Angela, talk to me about identification, guys. So we're gonna help you kind of think through, how do I begin to identify my value? So when we are going through that process and you were really taking the time to think and reflect, and trust me, there's a lot of tools you can do to do this.
Hmm.
But Angela, what do you feel like? What's the best way for someone that's new to this to start identifying what their values are?
I think taking time to think, right?
Yeah.
Just like Chris said, making time to actually think. And I can't get over the fact that we're matching. I don't think we playing this.
No, we didn't. We did not at all.
But taking time to actually think, right? And okay, what's important for me? Like,
Yeah.
what's the most important thing? What makes me feel good, right?
Hmm.
And one of those first things for us is our faith. Like, that's the foundation for us. That's something that's very important for us, and we begin to filter life through the value of our faith, through the lens of faith. So, an example, what does that look like? So, say you're um, challenged with something in life. We all have challenges. We all overcome resistance in some type of way.
Yeah.
So let's say that you're faced with some type of resistance. Well, if I filter that through my value of faith, I'm going to go to Proverbs 3 and 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart and lean not into thy own understanding, right? And so that's how you start to take these things and filter them through those values. So thinking about what's important to you.
Hmm.
And like, what would you say is something that maybe a personal value that you thought about, and you're like, yeah, that personally, because we know the faith and all those are our families and ours
Hmm.
collectively. But like, what are some, maybe that personal thing for you that you sat back and you thought about, like, yeah, I need to.
Yeah. So personally, so okay, let's share a story with you. Well, one thing I would share to answer your question is perseverance.
Mm,
And that's the whole thought process behind winning against resistance, because how can I not value perseverance? Is we're talking about winning against resistance and pushing against adversity and everything that tries to stand in the way of us becoming who God wanted us to be, created us to be, deposited in us, letting those things be expressed throughout life.
mhm,
Perseverance is going to have to be a key value. But there was a great discovery I had. I was reading a book called All It Takes as a Goal. All
mm,
It Takes is a Goal by John Acuff. And it walked me through an activity. And I shared this on year 37, on my 37th birthday. I shared this on a video. And this is so surprising. Look, I'm 37 years old. I've just really identified that this is a true value to me, because values can be like, you can deceive yourself and what you think is your value. But when you really begin to dig deep and peel back the layers, you begin to understand yourself more. You begin to discover yourself. Can you believe that you've been living for 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years? You haven't discovered yourself yet?
that's true.
And it's not going to happen until you begin to dig for the treasures. So I was reading this book and I began to dig for treasures. In the book, it recommended write it down, all of your best moments. How often are we thinking about the future and what we want to accomplish when we haven't taken the time to think about the past? The value of the past is that you can take the past and you can invest it into the future, because the past are facts. They're you can't exchange what has happened in the past, but yet you can take what you've gained from the past and begin to invest it in the future to make your future better. So I begin to write down all of these best moments of when I felt like I really, really won. I mean, from sport
Mm,
wins to marital wins to just the fact that I did something, and I did something I said I was gonna do. Like, all of these particular best moments. Here was the number one thing: relationships.
mm,
The things about those 80 something best moments that made them special, the majority of those 87 best moments that I recorded, was the thing that made it important is the people that I was with. Like if you would have removed the people from that moment, it wouldn't have been the best moment for me. So I began to realize, like, dang, maybe I do value relationships. And I talked about I'm an introvert. I talked about, I get more energy from being by myself, thinking, reflecting. And that's true. I do need that in my life. I'm very task oriented, goal oriented person. But yet at the same time, God gave me a compassion for people, and a lot of that has been covered up by shooting for goals and staying
Mm,
distracted in life and different focus. So I want you to understand, you have to discover yourself. You got to peel back the layers and begin to identify who you are.
mhm.
But yeah.
Another, I think that was a really good story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Another thing that, a question that's here is, how do you identify those values with these self-reflecting questions? Who do you admire, and what values do they embody? And I think about, first person that comes to mind is a lady named Alice, and I think about how when I'm around her, the confidence that when she's passed on now, but the confidence that she had, and when you leave her, she's deposited something into you.
Oh yeah.
Every single
Yeah.
time you talk to her, she's deposited something into you. And I want people to feel that way when they're done talking to me. Like, man, like I've learned something, I've grown, or I walk away feeling loved. Like there was just something deposited into me. So think about someone that you admire, and what are they doing? How do they make you feel when you leave them? What are their ask them, take them to lunch, right? Take that person to lunch and ask them, hey, what are your values? So you can start to emulate maybe the person that you admire.
Yeah.
Then another question is when have you felt most aligned with your purpose?
Mm.
And I think that's a really good question too. But again, it takes a level of self-awareness and peeling back those layers before you can, when you can sit down and think, okay, I felt really good. One thing for me that makes me feel in line with my purpose is what we're doing right now.
Mm.
So to be
Yeah.
able to
Yeah.
take the information that
Absolutely.
we've learned and grown from, and the things that we fought for, and the knowledge that we've, fought for, and to be able to share with you all, this is a value growth. Like I feel like we're operating in our God-given purpose when we do this. So that's a good reflection question as well.
Yeah. I think one simple question you can ask yourself is, because you don't have to be too deep with values. You got to
Mm,
discover yourself, but like starting off, if this is new to you, ask a simple question: what do I value? Like
mm,
it's I know it's can't define a word with a word, but just really, what do I value? When I think about my time throughout the day, when I think about what I spend my money on, what are those things that are most important to me? Like literally, what have I valued? Throughout my life. What did I value yesterday? What did I spend the majority of my time doing outside of work? Look at your bank account. What did you spend the most of your
mhm,
money on? And not saying that is anything wrong with money. Not saying there's anything wrong with nice cars and all those other things. I'm just saying that you were created for more.
mm,
I'm just saying that God didn't put you here for those things. There's something else that's driving you, and you have to discover what that is. And I believe until you do, you really won't ever understand your purpose or be able to live it out the way you want to, or really live a fulfilled life. So there's a book, guys, called This Is Day One. I want to reference something in it. Because the definition he has for value in here, I think is phenomenal. Because he looks at it more as a principle.
mm.
It is a decision making principle.
That's
So
good.
check this out. Value is a decision making principle, an articulation of what you want your decisions to accomplish.
Read that again.
Man, so value is a decision making principle, an articulation of what you want your decisions to
That's
accomplish.
good.
So check this out. Identifying loyalty as a value demonstrates that your decisions will focus on honoring your connections and commitments. So let's talk about the four pillars that we have. Just to give you an
Mm,
example. So faith, growth, relationship, and wellness.
mhm,
So if you were to ask us, what do we want our decisions to accomplish? Well, we value faith. So at the end of the day, we want every decision that we make to be able to represent the most high God, the God that we
absolutely.
serve, and to help us grow in our faith walk, to help us become an express image of Christ, to help us grow our hearts, to help us grow our ability to walk in faith during tough times. Like that's what we want our value of faith to shape our decisions into.
Mhm,
Even think about wellness.
Yeah, what we're putting into our bodies is important to us, right?
Yeah.
How we're physically, what we're putting into our bodies, mentally, like spiritually, like those things matter. The wellness of us and our family, those things matters. Our relationships, not just our this relationship, right? But this relationship as well, relationship to our children, relationship to those around us. Those things are important.
Yeah.
And then growth. Obviously, again, we're evolving. We're the goal is to always be evolving and growing and learning. And so taking the value of growth and always be doing something that we're stretching ourselves and gaining new knowledge.
Yeah. When you think about the definition and articulation, of what you want your decisions to accomplish, now I want you to think about what you discovered when you thought about your time,
Mm.
what you discovered when you reflected on where you're spending your money, what you discovered on from your past decisions already, and ask yourself the question: is it accomplishing the life that you wanted to accomplish? If you were to fast forward your life, push the fast forward button and speed through to the end of your life, and your values never change, your decision making principles never change, will it have accomplished the very thing that you believe that God put you in this earth to accomplish? Would it have accomplished the very thing that you desired your life to look like? So I think that's important. That's really a moment of self-reflection.
And here's the beautiful thing: it's never too late to start.
Yeah.
Just like Chris said, if you fast forward, if you continue the way that you have been going, or you haven't identified values and you fast forward where you get to that outcome, but the best time to start is right now. Like you can do this right now. You can shape your future to make it look better by starting this right now, identifying values and actually physically walking them out. And I was just sitting here thinking, it's one thing to identify them, but it's something totally different to walk it out.
To live it out, man. Woo!
It's something totally different to walk it out.
That builds character.
And that may be a whole nother topic to talk about. Like
walking out your values.
like what is it? Okay, yeah, I got it. I've identified them. It looks great. But man, like how do I walk this out? How do I bring this into fruition? Like what does it look like day to day to walk this out? So that may be an upcoming topic to talk through, just like what does it look like to walk this thing out. So it takes some perseverance to walk out these values. Integrity. It takes you have to be, what's the word? You have to be kind to yourself, because you may fail at it, but that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But this is what I'm excited to share with you all as we start to bring this to a close. We have some resources. Aren't you excited about the resources?
Excited about the resources.
We have some resources. So Chris just shared a book with you guys. This is day one.
And also, All It Takes Is a Goal by John Acuff.
All It Takes Is a Goal, John Acuff, and we'll drop that in the link. But we have a guide for you all that we printed up because we want to help you do this. We know it's helped us so much that we want to help you guys walk through this as well. A guide on identifying your values and putting them down on paper. And so it's a few steps. It's a PDF that you guys can get. We'll post it here to the channel as well. And I just really feel like it's going to help you in this journey. So
yeah. And if you're like me, someone that needs structure to help think through this thing, that's a really purpose of this guide. It provides a trellis for you to grow. It's a structured thought process for you to begin to peel back the layers and identify your values. Guys, I want to leave you with this. I want you to imagine this. This is from one of my favorite books, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Do I need to drop that in the links too?
Yeah, absolutely. So I want you to imagine this, guys. So close your eyes for a second. I want you to walk through this with me. You just walked into the front doors of a church, and you are noticing that there's a casket at the front. And as you're walking around, you see a lot of familiar faces. So obviously the person that's in the casket is probably someone that you may know. And as you walk up to the front of the church to view the remains, you notice that it's actually you. And as you just walk around and you take a seat in the audience, you begin to see some of your loved ones and your dearest friends and your colleagues get up and they begin to speak things about you. Your Your children may get up and say a few words, and your employer, your best friend, all of the people you spend all the time with, and they share things about you that maybe you were surprised to hear. They share things about you that, um, yeah, you probably never imagined. What are those things?
Mm.
Like, what will people say about you when you leave this earth for the last time? And here's the importance of that, because what people say about you is what people saw in you.
Mm.
And what people saw in you is how you lived out your life. And I want you to really reflect on that and ask yourself, is that consistent with the things that I value? Is that consistent with who I really am? Am I living the life that I really want to live, and shaping it in a way that I really want to shape it? Because even though you identify, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're living it out. You may even know your values, but the question is, are you living out those values, guys? So, hey, much love to you. We want you to go and subscribe to this channel, because we have so much value that we want to add to you in this upcoming year. So much content, guys. Be on the lookout. Go to the website winningagainstresistance.com. Be on the lookout for resources. We have blogs that are coming,
Gear.
gear that's coming. Definitely subscribe to the newsletter so you can get updates and all type of things, guys. But we're excited about what God is doing through us in this year, and it was a blessing being able to share with you this morning. You guys have a great Saturday.
Yes, guys. We want to hear from you in the chat too. Drop some comments. Did you enjoy this? Are you going to download that PDF and tell us what you got from it? You will get all the links in the description. Have a great day, guys.
Talk to you soon.